You remember much of what you learned in school or university? I can safely say that upwards of 90% of what I've learned in my 2 masters is now gone. But I do remember a lot of what I've learned since I started working. Now, why is that? In this video, we are going to explore the concept of the 70-20-10 learning method and how it can massively improve your learning retention and also create some truly high-performing teams and organizations. My name is Greg Angelbert. I've had about a 20-year corporate career where I went from being a trainee to eventually a vice president and managing director of a business, and from managing just myself to about 1,000 people. Today, I'm a master coach helping people, teams, and organizations to know themselves, create their future selves, and become their future selves. Wasting. It is not good for resources that we use from the planet, and it certainly is not good for learning. Yet there is an awful lot of waste out there. A study by the National Training Laboratories found that the retention rate for lecture-style learning is about 5%, whether when it's done through an on-the-job training, it's about 75%. Another study by the Corporate Leadership Council found that employees forget up to 80% of what they learned through a training within the first 30 days after the training. So that means we need a better way of doing things so we can redirect all these wasted monies towards learning methods which are truly effective. And it can lead to a variety of benefits like improved employee performance, increased employee engagement, greater innovation and creativity, increased competitiveness, and more important every day, higher adaptability and agility. Let's get into the 70-20-10 model. It is a model that outlines how people best learn in a workplace, and I may dare say in life. The 10% is for formal learning. This type of learning involves structured training and development, such as having classes or workshops or e-learning. So the good thing about this is that you learn some new skills. You learn something which is actually based on theoretical frameworks. So there is some real knowledge out there. But what's the problem of that on its own? As we mentioned before, what is learned through this type of training, purely through that and nothing else, is forgotten within the next month. It can also be completely disconnected from your job, what you're actually doing and what you need. And also it's not necessarily considering what you need as a person based on your learning needs. The 20% is for social learning. And that involves learning from others, such as having feedback, feed-forward, mentoring, coaching, and peer-to-peer activities. And that also means about what you're learning through collaboration, teamwork, and what you're observing others doing. Together with training, this can be a very potent combination because you learn something theoretical and at the same time you observe others doing it, for instance, or you're actually asking them for some mentoring about their experience about doing a specific skill. And this links directly to the last part, which is the 70% about experiential learning. And that involves on-the-job training and tasks. So you're learning by doing, you're training on new projects, you're trying out new skills on other people, new behaviors. And also sometimes it means that you're training others. And if somebody is promoted, that can be actually experiential learning because usually they will have to do new tasks and behaviors that they haven't been doing in the past. Experiential learning is usually highly relevant to what you or your staff need to be doing in their job every day. Because the tasks we do usually are actually to support yourself, the team, and the organization to achieve its goals. Who is responsible for your learning in life? Your organization? Your boss? No, you are. The concept of self-directed learning is based on you taking responsibility for your own knowledge learning, the new skills that you want to acquire for yourself. The first thing you need is motivation, which means that you need to link what you want to learn to what matters to you in your work. The second thing you need is self-efficacy. That means that you're confident you can learn new skills. I used to be leading a team in a railway engineering team, and nowadays I'm a coach and I do YouTube videos. You can learn anything. The third thing is to have measurable learning goals, and preferably made of small steps that get you progressively there. The fourth thing is to have a plan. What are the resources needed, the time that you need, what are the best strategies for you to learn, and also when are you going to reserve some time for learning. The fifth thing you need is time for reflection. Learning is good, but you also need to have a bit of an helicopter view of the way you're learning so you know what to adjust and adjust your strategies for the best learning experience. The sixth thing is keep at it. You're going to be frustrated. You will sometimes feel that you're not making any progress. Sometimes you will actually fall and not do your learning when you plan to do it. The point is, Rome was not built in a day, so get back on the horse and keep going. And enough already with the metaphors. And the last thing is to celebrate. Remember to celebrate the small step that you achieve, because you're training your brain to release a little bit of dopamine every step of the way, which is creating a virtuous circle about wanting to learn more. You like this video so far? Then you know what to do, and also subscribe to the channel and put the notifications on if you want to receive content like this every week. For summary of key points, tools to help you learn the best way possible, check out my Patreon. And check out the links and other YouTube videos in the description that talk about the same concept of 70-20-10 learning. If you're a manager, supervisor, team leader, encouraging self-directed learning is great, but you still have a role to play. The first one is to be clear about the direction that your team is going. So basically, you need to understand what are the goals that you have, the vision, the mission that you have, the strengths that there is in your team, also the values that you have for this team, and the jobs that need to be done in the team. Why? Because if you can outline that to your staffs, then your team will be able to understand better what are the strengths, the talents, the jobs that they need to develop, the skills that they need to develop to complement each other for the goals you want to achieve. Another aspect that you bring is coaching. You can be there to ask relevant questions, powerful questions that help your staff develop their own development plan. It's kind of like a sparring partner who is helping them to reflect, to ask themselves questions about what is the best path that they can take for their own learning journey. You might also have knowledge and experiences that you can share with them. That means you can be both a trainer and a mentor to them. And the bonus of doing that is that they will eventually take a lot of work off your plate. Also consider your network and the resources that you have from the organization or outside of the organization. Those are things that you can contribute, that you can suggest to your staff to use. Suggestions, if they are offered this way, are always a very great way to jog your staff creativity and openness. Remember, it remains their plan, as if you try to impose your plan on them, that won't stick. Whichever percentage that you allocate to the 3 learning categories which we have mentioned, what really matters is that you make them work together. There are several studies showing the benefits of that. One by the Corporate Executive Board found that high-performing organizations were much more likely to be using mentoring and coaching than low-performing organizations. It found that high-performing organizations are allocating 54% of their learning and development budget to this type of mentoring and coaching, whether low-performing organizations would be around 32%. The American Society for Training and Development conducted a study that found that employees who receive coaching, mentoring are more productive, they have better morale, better engagement, and they're also more likely to stay within the organization for longer. A study by the University of Minnesota found that employees who received mentoring had higher job satisfaction and were more likely to be promoted than those who did not receive it. Unilever also implemented this model, and what they noticed was that it's more likely to create more ideas, more solutions generated by employees. IBM implemented it and measured increased employee engagement with their employees. They were 3 times more likely to feel engaged in their work and 5 times more likely to remain in the company. And Deloitte measures that employees were more likely to develop new skills, new knowledge that would help them to have new career opportunities and promotions in the company. Convinced yet? Let's apply what we've talked about right away. First, what have you learned out of this video? Take a moment of reflection about that. Reflection is a good way to really understand the different angles that were important for you in this video. Second, how does what you've learned today relate to what matters in your life, what matters in your work? How does it relate to what you want to achieve, who you want to be? Write it down. Now, what are you going to do with what you've learned today? What is one simple action that you want to take right now with this knowledge? Are you going to see your boss about it? Are you going to share this information with someone? Sharing is retaining. Are you going to clarify your values, your strengths, your interests, your purpose to understand where you could learn the best? And if you want to do that, you can check out this video about learning more about your values, your strengths, your interests, and your life purpose. What role did I play when I asked you those questions? The role of a coach, and a bit like a mentor when I gave you some suggestions, which is one of the roles that I've mentioned before, finding a mentor, a coach to help you. So find that person to help you with your personal development plan or your team's or your organization development plan. And I'm such a person as a coach, so if you want to do that with me, check out the link below. I will leave you with a quote from Antoine de Saint-Exupéry, who is the author of The Little Prince. If you want to build a ship, don't drum up people to collect wood and don't assign them tasks and work, but rather teach them to long for the endless immensity of the sea. No amount of learning efficiency will ever replace you being very interested in what you're learning. And if you want to know more about how you can be more motivated in your life, then check out this video here.